The quiet evening shattered with the crack of a gun. Malcolm Hayes froze as his 9-year-old German Shepherd, Rex Canine, collapsed at his feet. The dog's sharp bark had been only a warning, but the officers took it as defiance. One pulled the trigger without hesitation. Blood stained the pavement, seeping into the cracks of the suburban street. Malcolm dropped to his knees, his hands trembling as he pressed against the wound, his mind screaming that this couldn't be real. His companion of nearly a decade, his family, was slipping away in front of him. The officers barked commands, but their words were muffled by the rush of fear pounding in Malcolm's ears. His heart raced, torn between saving Rex and staying alive himself. A leash lay slack between them, a symbol of loyalty now drenched in crimson. Hope flickered faintly. Rex's chest still moved. Malcolm's cries cut through the night. "Stay with me, boy," he whispered, though his voice was barely steady. Rex's breath rattled, shallow and broken, but it was still there. That single detail, movement, became Malcolm's lifeline. The officers didn't care. They shoved him to the ground, wrenching his arms behind his back, metal cuffs biting into his wrists. They didn't see the loyalty in Rex's brown eyes, didn't hear the soft whimper of a dog refusing to let go. Neighbors peeked from windows, afraid to intervene, but cameras recorded. The shot had been reckless, and in this age, nothing stayed hidden for long. As Malcolm's cheek pressed against cold concrete, he knew this wasn't just about him anymore. Rex's fight for life would become their fight for truth, and if Rex survived, there would be no burying what had just happened on this street.
Blue and red lights flashed like a cruel theater. Paramedics arrived but didn't rush toward the dog. Protocol demanded they attend the scene first. To the crowd gathering, it looked as if the system already worked in the officer's favor. Malcolm pleaded from the ground, his voice raw, "He's dying!" At last, one medic knelt, pressing cloth to Rex's wound. A faint pulse flickered beneath trembling fur. "We might have a chance," the medic muttered. The phrase became a spark. Cameras caught every word, every second of blood dripping from fur to pavement. Across the street, a teenager streamed live. "They shot his service dog," she cried, and her feed spread within minutes. A hook, sharp and undeniable, was set into the world's attention. While Rex fought for air, truth fought for breath alongside him. And this time, silence would not protect those responsible. The ambulance doors slammed shut. Inside, Rex's chest rose unevenly under the pressure of bandages. Malcolm, cuffed and shoved into a patrol car, could only glimpse the blur of flashing lights carrying his companion away. Helplessness pressed heavier than the steel biting his wrists. Every second felt stolen, every breath Rex took fragile. The officers muttered justifications, already shaping a story that painted Malcolm as the threat. Yet they hadn't realized the world was watching. The live stream had already gained thousands of views. People saw the limp body of a German Shepherd, a canine veteran, bleeding in the street. They saw a man pleading for mercy, restrained instead of helped. As the patrol car pulled away, Malcolm whispered a vow only he could hear. This wasn't where Rex's story ended. If there was life left in his friend, then there was still a fight left in him.
At the precinct, Malcolm was shoved into a chair under sterile lights. His ribs ached from knees pressed too hard, his wrists raw from steel cuffs. Across from him sat Officer Calloway, his smirk hiding the tremor in his hand. "Your mutt was out of control," he spat. Malcolm's jaw tightened, but his silence was louder than anger. Calloway didn't know what had already escaped into the world, footage of Rex lying limp, bandages soaked crimson, a medic whispering hope. Outside these walls, a storm gathered. Inside, Malcolm's only thought circled back to the ambulance. Was Rex still breathing? Was he even alive? Every heartbeat became a countdown, every minute a question unanswered. For the first time in years, Malcolm felt powerless. But beneath that helplessness burned something sharper, colder, resolve. If Rex survived, Malcolm would ensure truth cut deeper than any bullet. While officers twisted their reports, the truth twisted free. The teenager's live stream reached newsrooms before dawn. Police shoot retired K9s splashed across screens, sparking outrage. Journalists demanded answers. Advocacy groups flooded social media with Rex's photo, his badge tags glinting under brighter days. The story they tried to bury had already clawed its way to the surface. Inside his holding cell, Malcolm caught fragments of shouts from outside. Protesters, chants of "Justice for Rex" echoed like thunder through concrete walls. The system thought it had control, but the leash had slipped. For years, men like Calloway and Miller ruled unchallenged. Now their arrogance faced something stronger, a wounded dog whose survival became a movement. Malcolm gripped the cold steel bench, whispering to himself, "Hang on, boy. They don't know you. You don't quit." Hope wasn't just his, it belonged to everyone watching now.
Meanwhile, Rex's body trembled under the vet's scalpel. Dr. Susan Monroe worked through sweat and focus, her hands steady but her voice tense. The bullet had grazed his lung, lodging dangerously close to his heart. Every breath sounded like glass cracking. Technicians whispered, "He's fading." Yet Rex's paw twitched, as if resisting the pull of darkness. The team refused to give up. Outside the clinic, news vans crowded, lenses aimed at the glowing red emergency sign. Across town, Malcolm was denied updates. He closed his eyes, picturing Rex's face, remembering the missions, the nights they had survived together. If this was a battlefield, Rex was the soldier who never surrendered. Under the harsh lights of surgery, that truth shone brighter. As the machines beeped erratically, Susan whispered, "Come on, hero, not tonight." And for the first time in hours, Rex's chest lifted just a little stronger. Back at the precinct, Calloway strutted down the hall, whispering to colleagues that the dog was dead. Miller chuckled, adding, "Case closed." But the walls themselves betrayed them. One officer had recorded their bragging. Hours later, Malcolm's sister, Jasmine, stormed into the building, her lawyer's badge of authority clashing against the smug faces that lined the desk. She shoved a tablet across the counter. On it played Calloway's laugh, Miller's cruel words. Silence swept the room. For years, their arrogance went unchecked, but this time, receipts bled truth in digital ink. Malcolm was released with bruises and warnings, but outside the doors waited the roar of a crowd. Posters bore Rex's name. Chants carried hope and fury in equal measure. Malcolm raised his head to the winter sky. "You're still in this fight," he thought. Somewhere in that clinic, Rex still breathed. That was enough.
Reporters swarmed Malcolm the moment he stepped outside, their microphones thrust forward like spears. "Do you think Rex will survive?" one asked. He didn't answer, but his silence spoke volumes. Cameras captured the bandage still fresh on his wrist, the exhaustion etched into his face. Inside, his heart hammered only one prayer: let Rex hold on. Across town, Dr. Monroe delivered guarded news. The bullet had missed the heart by millimeters. The German Shepherd wasn't out of danger, but he wasn't gone. "He's fighting," she told the waiting press. Those words spread like wildfire. In homes across the country, strangers whispered hope for a dog they had never met but already loved. And in that moment, Malcolm felt the tide shift. Rex was no longer just his. He was the world's symbol of survival, loyalty, and unbroken courage. The next morning, headlines blared with fury. Hero K9 shot, still fighting for life. Pictures of Rex in uniform days filled television screens. News anchors reminded viewers he had once saved children from a burning home, that his service hadn't ended when he left the force. Now, the country knew his name. At the clinic, Rex stirred faintly,
his ear twitching as if recognizing the noise outside. Malcolm was finally allowed in, his steps unsteady as he reached the kennel. Bandages wrapped Rex's chest, tubes snaked from his body, but those brown eyes, half open, dulled but alive, met his. Malcolm sank to his knees, tears breaking through the walls he had built for years. "You're still here," he whispered. For the first time since the shot rang out, hope didn't feel fragile. It felt solid, alive, and burning bright in both man and dog.
Rex's shallow breaths echoed in Malcolm's chest like a war drum. The clinic's machines beeped unevenly, but they kept beeping, and that was enough. Malcolm spent the night by his side, one hand resting gently on the shepherd's paw, whispering words Rex couldn't hear, but perhaps could still feel. Across town, the outrage grew louder. Footage of Calloway and Miller's arrogance played in loops on every major network. Protesters flooded the courthouse steps, demanding charges. Inside the clinic, Dr. Monroe prepared Malcolm for the truth. Recovery would be slow, uncertain, and painful. But then she added what Malcolm needed most. He wants to live. He's stronger than he should be. That spark rekindled something inside Malcolm. He leaned close, whispering, "Then we fight together." Rex's tail twitched ever so slightly, a flicker of life in the darkest of nights. Hope wasn't faint anymore. It was rising. By morning, the media had shifted their tone. What began a shock was now an anthem. Justice for Rex. His story traveled faster than headlines usually could, carried by those who believed his survival meant something larger. Lawyers called. Advocacy groups offered their support. Malcolm's sister Jasmine arranged meetings with reporters, ensuring no detail was buried. Still, none of it mattered to Malcolm as much as the soft rise and fall of Rex's chest. In the quiet hours, he remembered their years together. Training sessions at dawn, patrols that turned into rescues, the day Rex retired into his care with honor. He had been more than a dog. He had been a soldier, a brother, a guardian. The world now saw only a victim, but Malcolm knew differently. Rex wasn't surviving out of chance. He was surviving because that was who he was. Relentless.
The first charges came within days. Officer Calloway and Officer Miller were suspended without pay, pending investigation. But suspension wasn't enough, not for a bullet that nearly ended a life. Malcolm walked out of the clinic to face reporters, his voice steady but raw. "He's still fighting," he said, "and so will I." That line became the next headline, the next spark. Support swelled, and the department's leaders could no longer ignore the tide. A formal inquiry was launched. Yet inside the clinic walls, Malcolm's eyes remained fixed on Rex, watching every twitch, every flicker of strength. At night, when the building fell silent, he whispered promises that this wasn't the end, that one day Rex would walk again. In the distance, sirens wailed faintly, reminders of a world still broken. But beside him, wrapped in bandages, was proof that broken things could still fight. Rex's fight became harder before it became easier. Some nights, his breathing faltered, sending Malcolm bolting upright in terror. Dr. Monroe warned of setbacks, infection, weakness, pain. But Rex kept surprising them. His eyes stayed locked on Malcolm, unwilling to surrender. The clinic staff marveled. He shouldn't be alive. Yet there he was, proving statistics wrong. Meanwhile, Jasmine dug deeper, uncovering buried complaints against Calloway and Miller. Dozens of citizens had filed grievances, all dismissed, all silenced. This wasn't just about one night. It was about a pattern. And now, Rex's survival had given the world a face, a story too powerful to ignore. Malcolm knew it. As he stroked Rex's ear one late evening, he whispered, "You're not just surviving for me, you're surviving for everyone they hurt." For the first time, Rex's paw shifted, pressing faintly into Malcolm's hand.
The city erupted when the footage of Rex's surgery leaked, grainy but powerful.
The sight of a canine clinging to life under a surgeon's hands struck something deep in millions. Donations poured into the clinic, flowers piled high at its doors. Strangers sent cards addressed simply to Rex, the hero. The officers who pulled the trigger tried to defend themselves, but their voices were drowned out by the roar of a public unwilling to accept excuses. Malcolm saw the world awakening, but his world remained measured in heartbeats. One morning, Rex lifted his head weakly for the first time. Tears blurred Malcolm's vision, and nurses gasped. That single motion felt bigger than any courtroom headline. It wasn't just survival, it was defiance. Rex was telling the world, you didn't win, not yet. As the trial date loomed, prosecutors asked Malcolm to testify. He hesitated at first. His focus was Rex, not politics. But Jasmine reminded him, every word you speak is another shield for him and for others. Malcolm agreed. Still, he struggled with memories. The night on the street, the leash jerking, Rex's body collapsing. These thoughts stalked his sleep. Yet every morning, Rex gave him a reason to get up. The shepherd was moving again, slow but certain. Nurses called it miraculous. Malcolm called it inevitable. Rex had always been trained to protect, and now he was protecting something larger, the fight for truth. The officers thought the bullet had silenced a dog. Instead, it had ignited a firestorm. A courtroom awaited, but so did justice, and Rex's survival gave it teeth.
Inside the clinic, Rex took his first steps. Bandages still wrapped his chest. Tubes still trailed from his body, but his paws touched the floor. Malcolm steadied him, tears welling as each shaky stride echoed louder than any protest. Cameras weren't there to capture it, but Malcolm didn't need them. That moment belonged only to them, man and dog, surviving together. Outside, the courtroom became a battlefield. Calloway and Miller's defense team argued they had acted in fear for their lives. But the video footage told another story. Rex was leashed, controlled, never aggressive. The bullet was unjustifiable. Public opinion was unforgiving, and jurors knew the world was watching. Rex's recovery became the ultimate rehook. Every headline, every chant outside the courthouse circled back to the dog who refused to die. Then came the twist no one expected. While reviewing old canine records, Jasmine discovered Rex's hidden legacy. He wasn't just a retired police dog. He had once served as a decorated canine officer, credited with saving lives during raids and disasters. He wasn't an ordinary pet. He was a hero long before that night. The news spread instantly, electrifying the public. Headlines shifted from "Police shoot dog" to "Police shoot decorated hero canine." Calloway and Miller's defense team crumbled further under the weight of what they had done. Rex sat beside Rex, stroking his fur as he whispered, "They didn't just shoot my dog. They tried to kill a hero." Rex's ear flicked, his eyes narrowing as if he understood. That revelation didn't just change the trial, it cemented Rex's place in history.
The courtroom filled with silence as Malcolm took the stand. Cameras flashed, the world watching. His voice was steady, each word sharpened by truth. Rex wasn't just a dog, he was family. He was a decorated canine who saved lives, and they tried to take him away. The jurors shifted, the weight of his testimony pressing deep. In the gallery, supporters wept openly. Rex's photo, in uniform with his badge, stared from every screen. Calloway and Miller avoided eye contact, their arrogance drained. The prosecutor replayed the footage, Rex's still body, Malcolm's pleas, the smug faces of men who thought themselves untouchable. Every detail painted a picture of cruelty and corruption. Malcolm ended with one sentence, "They underestimated him. He lived." That line landed like a hammer. Outside the courthouse, chants rose like thunder. Justice for Rex,
Signs filled the air, bearing the shepherd's face, his name now etched into the fight against abuse of power. Inside, Malcolm was escorted to Rex's side, allowed a brief visit between hearings. Rex wagged his tail weakly, the first time since the shooting. Malcolm knelt, forehead against fur, whispering, "We're almost there, boy." The next day's headlines captured both man and dog. Hero Canine lives. Court awaits justice. The rehook was undeniable. Rex wasn't just surviving, he was reclaiming his story, step by painful step, dragging truth into the light alongside his handler. As Malcolm left the clinic, the crowd parted, chanting both their names. The message was clear. This wasn't just his battle, it was theirs. And it wasn't over.
The prosecution saved its strongest card for last. They played the newly uncovered footage of Rex's decorated canine service, his badge, his rescues, the commendations he had earned. Jurors leaned forward, faces tight with emotion. This wasn't just any dog. This was a law enforcement partner, honored and retired, shot by men who claimed to protect. The gallery erupted, reporters scribbling furiously. Even the judge's jaw tightened. Malcolm sat silently, his gaze steady. Rex, alive but bandaged, lay in the clinic across town, unaware that his life story was now the very heart of justice. Every headline shouted the same truth. They hadn't just fired a bullet into an animal. They had tried to erase a hero. And now, the world was making sure they would never escape what they had done. The defense tried one last tactic, to paint Malcolm as dangerous, unstable, vengeful. But it collapsed the moment the prosecutor replayed the body cam silence. Malcolm's voice had been calm that night. He complied. He identified himself. He restrained Rex. It was all there. The only escalation had come from Calloway and Miller. Jurors glanced toward the defendants, who avoided every eye in the room. No cross-examination could erase what was already seared into memory. Malcolm stood one final time, voice unwavering. "I was trained to survive, but Rex, he was trained to save. And even shot, he chose to live." The gallery stirred, people nodding, wiping tears. It wasn't just testimony. It was truth carried on the breath of a man who had nothing left to prove, and a dog who proved everything by breathing still.
When the jury left to deliberate, the city held its breath. Crowds outside the courthouse swelled, holding signs with Rex's face, chanting in unison. News helicopters circled above. Inside the clinic, Rex was lifted gently into a therapy harness. Malcolm returned in time to see it, his shepherd taking 4 shaky steps forward. Nurses clapped. Dr. Monroe whispered, "He's going to walk again." Malcolm knelt, steadying him, tears streaking his face. The timing felt divine. While the jury weighed the fate of the men who nearly ended his life, Rex was already proving theirs had failed. The German shepherd paused, then leaned his head against Malcolm's chest, his strength rising from somewhere beyond pain. In that moment, Malcolm realized, whatever the verdict, Rex had already won. He had chosen life, and life was louder than any gunshot. The jury returned faster than expected. Less than 2 hours later, the courtroom filled again. Reporters braced, cameras flashing. The foreman rose, his voice steady. On the charge of aggravated assault, guilty. On the charge of illegal search and seizure, guilty. On the charge of attempted murder, guilty. Gasps echoed, followed by cheers outside as the news spread instantly. Calloway's face drained of color. Miller slumped, trembling. Malcolm exhaled slowly, eyes closing for just a second. It wasn't joy he felt, but release. The judge spoke firmly. These actions betrayed the badge, betrayed the public, and betrayed justice itself. The sentence, 25 years in federal prison. The sound of gavels thundered like victory drums. Outside, the chants grew deafening. Inside, Malcolm sat still, his thoughts not on punishment, but on the dog waiting for him, alive and fighting.
Malcolm didn't stay for the aftermath. Reporters swarmed, microphones thrust forward, but he pushed through silently. Justice had been spoken. Now he wanted only one thing: to return to Rex. At the clinic, he opened the door to find the shepherd standing, supported but proud, his eyes locking onto Malcolm's instantly. The nurses stepped back, smiling. Rex took a step forward, then another, until his weight leaned fully against the man who never left him. Malcolm knelt, wrapping his arms around the scarred but living body. "We made it," he whispered into fur. For the first time since the shooting, Rex wagged his tail strongly, a rhythm steady and defiant. Outside, the city roared with news of the verdict. Inside, silence held them both, a man and his dog, neither broken, both unyielding, finally safe together again. The next morning, headlines painted the city in one color: victory. Hero Canine survives. Officers convicted. Newspapers carried Rex's photo across front pages. Talk shows replayed the footage of him walking again. Children brought drawings to the clinic. Letters arrived by the hundreds. "Thank you for fighting. Thank you for living." Malcolm read them aloud at Rex's side, each word like a balm. But beneath the gratitude, there was a deeper message echoing everywhere. Change was possible. Rex had become a symbol, not just of survival, but of resilience against abuse of power. In homes across the nation, people whispered his name with reverence. Rex wasn't a victim anymore. He was a reminder that justice, though slow, could roar louder than cruelty. And Malcolm knew this was only the beginning of something larger than them both.
Weeks passed. Rehabilitation was grueling, but Rex pushed through every session. Malcolm walked beside him daily, coaxing strength from tired muscles. Reporters kept asking for interviews, but Malcolm declined most. His focus was here, in these steps, in these victories that mattered more than any broadcast. Dr. Monroe marveled at his progress. Most dogs wouldn't make it this far, but he's not most dogs. One evening, Malcolm clipped on Rex's leash for the first time since that night. They stepped outside together. The air was cool, the world watching quietly from behind hedges and porches. Neighbors nodded respectfully. Children waved. Rex lifted his head proudly, scars hidden beneath thick fur, stride steady. Malcolm felt the leash tug, not with weakness, but with confidence. The shepherd was back. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were living again, one step at a time. The police department held a press conference, trying to distance itself from Calloway and Miller. Words like isolated incident and not representative filled the air, but the crowd outside shouted louder, holding posters of Rex and chanting for reform. It was clear this wasn't about two men anymore. It was about a system. Malcolm stood far from the microphones, watching quietly with Jasmine at his side. He didn't need to speak. Rex already had. His survival was the testimony that echoed louder than any official statement. Later that night, Malcolm sat on the floor of his home, Rex curled beside him. He stroked the shepherd's fur, whispering, "You changed more than you'll ever know." Rex nudged his hand, his breathing calm, steady. Together they had turned pain into a movement, and movements don't die. They grow.
On a quiet Sunday, Malcolm took Rex back to the cemetery where other canine heroes rested. The shepherd moved slowly, but his steps were sure. Malcolm stopped before a row of stones, kneeling. "You belong here," he murmured, "but not yet." Rex stood tall, eyes scanning the rows, ears alert. For a moment, Malcolm imagined the fallen standing again, watching this survivor walk among them. He placed a small medal on the ground, Rex's old commendation, a reminder of what had been and what still was. The sun broke through the clouds, casting light over Rex's scars. Malcolm whispered, You carried me through this." The shepherd leaned close, his breath warm, his heart steady. They had faced the worst together, and together they had risen. The graveyard stood silent, but the message was clear. Rex wasn't done yet. The final chapter wasn't written in a courtroom or a headline, but in a simple walk down their street. Children ran up to pet Rex, neighbors waved, strangers whispered his name with awe. Malcolm walked beside him, head high, not as a man broken by grief, but as a man carrying proof of survival. Rex's stride was firm, his scars a testament, his eyes fierce with life. The officers who tried to erase him were gone, lost behind steel bars. What remained was hope, embodied in a German shepherd who should not have lived, but did. Malcolm paused, kneeling to meet Rex's gaze. "We don't just survive, boy," he whispered. "We win." Rex's tail wagged, steady and strong. As they moved forward, the city behind them cheered, but Malcolm didn't hear it. All he heard was the sound of life continuing together.